Volcano. This is Isaiah Lundholm and Isaac Hansen. Rooted in tradition are these unifying vibrations. The reason we can hear these songs, see these dances, and feel these rhythms today is because of the new life being poured into them. Whether it's the need to protest or to express through satire, fill a void within a community, or continue a tradition, or even just to keep an endangered culture alive, people haven't stopped making this music. Just as the reverberation of malleable surfaces can synchronize us from crowd to collective, so too does the rhythm we make, alone and yet together, like two passing trains. When this project was in its infancy, I looked towards world music. When I asked Brett Jones if he wanted to be involved, he shared this phenomenon with me, called the 332, music's most universal rhythm, a rhythmic framework of long, long, short. At the time, I didn't understand. What was so interesting about something so simple? Not too long before today, I realized just how important this rhythm is to me, and probably to most people. My music fascination isn't about career or attention, but about loving and listening, and more recently playing. To music is my ambition. What I wasn't aware of, before Brett's suggestion, was that I've been enamored with the 332 all my life, listening to groups like Rush, and my obsession with jazz music. 332 rocks the mind into comfort. It feels like home. Even when you don't know you're listening to it, its familiar thump moves us into the territory of understanding. Once you are comfortable with what you're listening to, you can hear so much more. Music and dance, voice with figure and power. All humans, among many activities, share this. We don't only share the concept of music, but quite literally share the music itself. Much like brass or religion, the diffusion of sounds feels amorphous, traveling through time and space. There's one combination of sounds that we've all heard in many genres of music, in every country and in every culture. This, the 332. It's not hard to notice once you notice it. This pattern is very simple. It often takes a backbeat to most music. If not hidden, but an overwhelming amount of sound. We chose this rhythm because of its universality, a rhythm all people share. Those who survive the actions of ignorance and greed, abuse and fear, brutality and control. We may walk amongst the rest with vigor and practice posture, but we remember. Oh, how we will never forget. Rinchao is the traditional dance of the Gullah Geechee people here in the U.S. When people were kidnapped from West Africa and forced into slavery by my ancestors, some of these people were shipped to the Sea Islands off the coast of Georgia and Florida. The remote area was home to many plantations during the years of slavery. When emancipation was in place and the idea of 40 acres and a mule was floated as a way to repay and set up free black people for success, some people were actually given that land. Most of them had it taken away when Lincoln was killed and Andrew Johnson reversed the policy. But some people were able to hold on to it. The Gullah Geechee people, through luck and constant effort, were able to keep some of that land, even up until now. Through isolation and chance, traditional practices from Africa, Mother Africa, as the Macintosh shouters would say, stuck with the Gullah Geechee. Rinchao is an evolution of West African music, and is one of the clearest examples of the 332. In nearly every song, the 332 is the bass rhythm, played with stick and hand clapping. But Gullah culture is in danger of evaporating. Many people are selling land. Some are getting old, Some just don't have a good reason to stay in the place they grew up. People, like the McIntosh Shouters, are trying to pass on this culture and traditional music to younger generations, to keep the stories of slavery and the culture that survived the evil trade of men across the ocean alive. 332 migrated from West Africa to the U.S. through the slave trade. Green Shout is an example of music surviving the horrors of slavery in North America. Similar to Awe music, other Awe music. The origins of Gahu, the reasons people dance and sing the way they do, are gone, or at least irrelevant. Gahu, meaning money dance, or literally airplane, beats with the heart of youthful fun and community. But where and why it started doesn't seem to matter to those who practice it. In the 1950s, when West Africans would visit Europe, their return would often be bittersweet. As some would throw aside tradition for new ways and new technology. Feeling frustrated by this phenomenon, Yoruba speakers from Nigeria and Benin created Gahu as a way to satirize the people who would adopt these new values. Though the Yoruba speakers had their intentions, when the music was brought to the Awe people, it took on a whole new life. Change is inevitable, and being young is all about it. Driving with love and joy instead of hesitancy and fear. Maybe it's arrogance, but I know the force in which I would gamble. I would not prevent change. I'd rather embrace what is new and remember what is old. to do with new music. They adopted Gahu and changed the context in which it was played. The structure of Gahu is call and response. The most consistent rhythm within Gahu is the 3-3-2. Played most often on bell, it's not as overt as a ring shout or most Middle Eastern tunes, but also not as hidden as more complicated ones, such as the music of a guitar stand or a taiko. It's consistent and allows for the rest of the group to improvise when they feel confident. This is the traditional philosophy that remains in Gahu from other Ewe music. Anyone who can maintain time and a simple pattern can take part, but to be able to improvise without throwing off any of the others requires confidence in the overall sound that is being made by the group. The dancers included. Most Ewe music has a leader. They control when the music will change. The dancers and drummers often respond to their patterns and initial calls as well. Gahu is fun and energetic music. You can see why the youth continue to gravitate towards it. Its sound is traditional, and that the drums and rhythms have been used in West Africa for centuries. The dance is particular, mimicking airplane flights and floating. What was used to communicate a particular story is now the driving force of that story's evaporation. This music is no longer used to make fun of change. Itself is change. We never know what the future will hold, what our intentions will become. The outcome of our words and the actions will always be fluid and ever changing. The Yoruba speakers sought to satirize one kind of change and instead encouraged another. Or maybe up. No, the button switch. There you go. You got it. Oh. Oh. precision, unified strokes surrounding, old Japan made new. Shinichi Tanaka, inspired by the roots of Japanese theater and American jazz, wished to fill a hole in Japanese American festivals. Taiko, meaning big drum or fat drum, has drummers drumming at a near constant rate. And the patterns flow in and out just like the dance of the drummers. Don't get us wrong, this is a dance. Just as the movements on a drum kit form a dance in the air between strikes of plastic and wood, so do the limb movements and focused pauses of taiko. You've heard the booming sound that the taiko can make. You've seen the fluid movements of the drummers, sturdy but graceful, fierce but careful. Some liken this to a martial art, as its precision is insurmountable to its music. If you did not hear the 332, I do not blame you. So much is happening here, and the 332 is a part of many bombastic strikes. Such is the nature of taiko. You could easily say that taiko is the opposite of God. Taiko is so demandingly precise, so serious and collected. You are silent during this performance because the vibe is stunning. God, on the other hand, is very casual and fun. Its music is a party for those who play and dance and sing. Taiko's culture is akin to all Japanese art forms, or akin to a lot of Japanese art forms. You give your all to the one thing that you do. It is your life, and you are expressing it through the ferocious striking of a sound-exploding cylinder. Taiko. Now, if you can, close your eyes with me and listen. I want to play you two things back to back. Ask yourself this while listening. Where do you think these are from? Do you think these two pieces of music are far from each other? these pieces of music do live far from each other, but despite the distance, they share similar stories. Not the states, and not the institutions. Rare is the way of people, but the wants and wills of states represent the reality of our everyday. Rare is the way of empire, that the conflicts and nationalism improve the lives of its people. The first piece of music was from Cyprus, an island nation that is half controlled by Greek Cypriots, half claimed by the Turkish Republic of Cyprus. However, it's also a place where people live. The second piece is from Tatarstan, a republic of the Russian Federation. However, it too is home to many people. The 332 is an example from Cyprus. The 332 in the example from Cyprus is quite overt. The example from Tatarstan has the same framework we are used to, but it counts as in-betweens different. Both of these pieces stem from Turkish classical music. Cyprus being off the coast of Turkey, and Tatarstan once being conquered by the Ottoman Empire during Mongolian control. They share their music, but also their culture. The people of Cyprus and the people of Tatarstan have had their lives moved by the forces surrounding them, not by their own choices. In Cyprus, there has been forced migration due to Turkish and Greek Cypriot conflict on who owns this island. Tatarstan's people are stuck being ruled by the tyrants of the heads of the Russian Federation. They demanded independence due to lack of representation and completely different cultures and language. The Russian government's response was denial of independence and further assimilation into Russian culture by way of national language and school curriculums. We all know what it feels like to try and live, and instead have our lives be restricted, swayed, uprooted by powers who claim to care about us, but instead use their power to help themselves. Before the issues that people face can be heard, the reality of those people's humanity must be understood. Palestinian dubki, or stomp, is a dance that itself is the 332, often performed in celebration. The people of Palestine are often labeled with terror. Their people are either being terrorized or committing terror themselves out of desperation. What is covered of people in places of hardship is often just that, hardship. So when we think of Palestine, we don't think about the food, or the music, or the art, or the literature, or even the fact that there are plumbers, teachers, retail workers, musicians, bartenders, electricians, people, humans. We see the sadness and ignore the humanity. We ignore the spirit of people. But people do live in Palestine. People get drunk in Palestine. People get married in Palestine. People dance at those weddings. And they do so with the same rhythm that is used everywhere, and quite literally this time. Look and listen to the music of people, to their humanity. Palestinian Dubke's 332 is clearly the driving force behind this dance. There are many kinds of Dubke. Some dance to celebrate, others to compete. Some alone, and some in large groups. Some Dubke is just women, and others just men. The 332 scenes throughout most performances of Dubke dancers, as it does in most of the Middle East and Northern Africa. Another dance tradition, this time here in the US, that uses the 332, is a dance that is called clogging. And in this example, it's right at the end. much younger, I used to do what you just saw. Feet pounding and shuffling, arms pulling and twirling to the rhythm of the 1, 2, 1, 2. The music that is square dancing, clogging, violins, banjos, and an upright bass is not only the sound of my adolescence, but likely the best representation of these unifying vibrations. If you didn't catch it, as you've listened to so much tonight, the 332 was right at the end when the dancers did their call and response clogging. The kind of clogging these performers were doing throughout the song is a wonderful level of square dance to truly blend the dancers with the instrument performers. When the US was first being colonized, many farmers, in order to keep some connection of community, would host square dances in their small homes. Due to the limited size of these homes, furniture was moved to the sides for the band to sit on, and the dancers would use the middle of the house. They would make up dances that fit the space they had to dance. It was important to them to tailor their fun to where they lived, as they were betting all their lives on this stolen land. The need for community is something all humans have, the urge to not feel alone. The reason I am at this school, giving this presentation, is because of that need. Just as it was when I was in high school, and I was given the chance to learn this new music, and to learn this new feeling, togetherness. When you spend hours upon hours spinning, stomping, twirling, clapping, yelling, holding, moving, and grooving with 10 to 200 people, there is not only a high of exertion, but the rare feeling of oneness that comes with group dance. When every person in the room stomps at the exact same moment, when the band's eyes are closed and everyone is hollering, smiling, and grooving throughout without thought, it's music, it's human, it's unifying. Before this project, the 332 wasn't something I ever really heard or even knew had many names. When Brett shared this phenomenon with me, and I started hearing it everywhere, it began to feel familiar. I thought this was because I was becoming more used to the 332. When I was young, I often felt lost, living in a world I feared, looking for guidance and gospel. Rush was not just a music group to me. It felt like a path forward, a light in the distance, something I could trust when all my trust had been shattered. The rhythm you are hearing now is from their song Heresy. Neil Peart, Rush's drummer, wrote about the song, true cross-cultural pollination. An African rhythm played by a Canadian drummer with Japanese drumsticks on American drums, with one Chinese cymbal, and a song produced by an Englishman about the fall of communism in Eastern Europe and the Soviet Union. When I read these words and I hear this song, I feel safe. I feel comforted. I can't help but let my guard down and my mind wander. The 332 rhythm survives. It thrives, it celebrates, it contemplates, it comforts, it supports, it unifies.
I really did enjoy that, and especially when like bringing everything back together with this song blew me away. I really thank you for like finally showing me this. I'm so glad. did a lot of good work. I'm very happy and I'm very proud of you guys.
Talk about kind of like being able to hear you. I like Rush quite a bit as well, and it's funny because I've like gone through all the records and it's like you're going through the whole presentation. What do you know?
Yeah.
But you guys know it's super cool.
Yeah, it's in so many songs. Because like you, I've listened to these thousands of times, and then I listen to this and I'm like, oh!
Yeah. Sure, like it's gonna ruin.
Every song. Every pop song has it. It's everywhere. It sounds good though.
Yeah.
So I apologize for the interruption. They were lost. They were trying to find the orchestra concert.
Oh.
And it's also, I guess, at 7:30, but Facebook says 6:30. So I'm also very confused. But you told us to close our eyes and listen, and so I was sitting here with my eyes closed. What were the two cultures of like the two songs that we were listening to?
Oh yeah, so Cyprus and Tatarstan.
And where are they from?
Cyprus is a island country right off the coast of Turkey, and
Okay.
Tatarstan is a landlocked country in the Russian Federation, unwillingly so.
Okay.
They don't want to be there.
Gotcha.
I felt so like proud, like knowing cultural geography. I was like,
Yeah, I
don't
knew it
these
was.
sound Turkish. I was like, these sound like steppe people. I was like,
I was thinking Middle
yeah, it was because of the symbols.
East. Okay.
But when I was listening, I was like,
Yep. I'm glad everyone had a good time.
Are you gonna do another?
I mean, I guess if less and less people show up, it'll just be for Lauren. So.
Yeah! Do you have like just like a database of just a bunch of different music now?
You have to do a play. You have
Yeah,
a
I do have
playlist
a
on
playlist.
YouTube.
I do have a
Grow
playlist
it.
on YouTube. It's not totally complete because I have a bunch of songs in different playlists on different apps.
Yeah.
But I should just put one together because everyone tells me to. So.
That would be so cool.
Have you taken Dr. Madison's music world culture class?
Yeah, he was a big inspiration for just thinking about music around the world.
Yeah, it's giving me that vibe.
Yeah.
I love that vibe.
I invited him. He said he wanted to come, but I imagine if we go outside, just like 30 people will just be frozen still, trying to get there.
Well, I know this kid takes a lot of his time.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
Kids be like that.
His kid's like 18.
No, the other one. No, the 6-year-old.
Oh, he's got a
6-year-old.
6-year-old?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
well, he does have an older kid.
He
too.
does. I know. I know he's got a kid in college.
His older kid's like 20 something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Sammy.
He's adorable.
Well, now that we've actually got it recorded, the first one we did there in the summer, I started the recording 20 minutes early, and then my phone died, like right at the end.
It is still recording, by the way. Do you want me to stop it or leave it?
that's